Assalamualaikum and hi guys, we are here today to present about issues and research of astronomy. But before we start, let me introduce the presenters first.
Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is Wanshul Hazim bin Ahmad Kama, and today I want to talk about extraterrestrial life. Before I explain more about extraterrestrial life, I want to explain about the definition of the words itself. First, definition of extraterrestrial are outside or originating outside the limit of the Earth. Second, definition of life, the general or universal condition of human existence. Third, definition of extraterrestrial life, life that may exist or may have existed in the universe outside of Earth. So, astronomers do research about possibility of another life exists beyond Earth because, as we know, there are many universes other than our universe. Since 1950s, astronomers have proposed habitable zones around stars are most likely place for life to exist. On November 4, 2013, astronomers reported based on KEPLER's data space mission that there could be as many as 40 billion Earth-sized planets orbiting in the habitable zones of sunlight stars. The science of extraterrestrial life is called astrobiology. The central goal of astrobiology is to find evidence of past or present life beyond Earth, if it ever existed. But there are countless mysteries about planets and moons, about solar systems, about galaxies, and about the makeup of the space between them that inevitably will be confronted and unraveled along the way. Ultimately, the search for extraterrestrial life is possible only as a part of an exploration of the makeup, the dynamics, the history, and the many as yet unknown wonders of the cosmos. In remote testing, light of any wavelength reflected from or emitted by the target planet can be examined. Remote sensing method seeks thermodynamic disequilibrium, especially in fluid phases. The fluid phases of the planet. With next in situ studies, samples of a planet must be acquired by instrumentation that lands there and perform experiments based on chemical, mechanical, or spectral disequilibria. These are some methods that astronomers use to do a research about extraterrestrial life. But there are two main methods that the astronomers use, which are first, the search of extraterrestrial intelligence or SETI, and second, exobiological exploration research. So, what is SETI? SETI research use of radio telescope to listen for signals coming from distant location in our galaxy. If and when the signals are received and verified by the astronomers would interpret it as evidence of technologically advanced beings elsewhere in the universe. In practical terms, this search methods relies on the construction and operation of radio, telescopes, and the interpretation of incoming signals, rather than on spacecraft missions or direct contact with the extraterrestrial life under study. Because searches conducted by SETI are entirely through indirect, non-intrusive methods, that there are no environmental impacts on or planetary cross-contamination concerns involved, either on Earth or in space. Next is about exobiological research. Exobiological research is about the search of non-intelligent extraterrestrial life. This research is based on more direct methods of exploration to another planet. National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA, current exploration strategy for our solar system seeks to answer questions about the origin and evolution of life via an ongoing series of one-way robotic missions to nearby planets and celestial bodies. This mission will be followed in the not-too-distant future by round-trip missions that return extraterrestrial materials to Earth. Researchers are able to collect data and measurements, perform experiments, and even gather samples from extraterrestrial locations via remotely operated scientific equipment on board orbiting or landing spacecraft. Depending on the mission and its objectives, scientists can accumulate direct and indirect data on the presence or absence of life, either living or fossilized. They can also gather site-specific chemical and environmental information that allows for comparisons with analogous environments on Earth or with conditions considered essential for living systems in general. To sum up, as we know, our galaxy is big. They contain many planets, so it will be not impossible that there are life such as life just as like Earth in another planet. So astronomers want to do research to know about the planet and how other planet evolved and the technology used by the planet. So that's all for me. Thank you.
InsyaAllah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Shahiran bin Ahmad Rahidi and I will present about extraterrestrials in Islam. Like we know, extraterrestrials is a creature that lives outside from the earth, or many people call it as a alien, but in Islam we call it as a jinn. Okay, now I will show two surah that mention about extraterrestrials in Quran. But first, I would like to read Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 1, number 2. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Zalikal kitabu la raiba fihi hudan lil muttaqin. Sadaqallahul azim. It is the book about which there is no doubt, a guidance for those conscious of Allah. Allah said there are no doubt in Quran. Means all the data, information, word in the Al-Quran are real, and we as a Muslim need to believe it. Okay, now let's go to the surah that mention about extraterrestrial. First is Surah An-Nur, verse 24, number 45. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Wallahu khalaqa kulla dabbatin mimma فمنهم من يمشي على بطنه ومنهم من يمشي على رجلين ومنهم من يمشي على أربع يخلق الله ما يشاء إن الله على كل شيء قدير. صدق الله العظيم. Allah has created every living creature from water, and of them are those that move on their bellies, and of them are those that walk on two legs, and of them are those that walk on four. Allah creates what He wills. Indeed, Allah is over all things competent. Let's look to the word dabbah wallahu khalaqa kulla dabbah. Jurists translate dabbah as a creature or animal that move with 2 or 4 legs, and some say their look are not like human, but their look and appearances are still remain mystery because no one has ever seen it or found it. So that's the some evidence in Quran that said extraterrestrial is real. Let's move to the next surah, Surah Ash-Shura, verse 42, number 29. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Wa min ayatihi khalaqus samawati wal ardi wa ma batha fihima min dabbah wa huwa ala jam'ihim idza yasha'u qadir. Sadaqallahul azim. And among his signs is the creation of the heavens and the earth, and all living being he dispersed throughout both, and he is most capable of bringing all together whenever he wills. In the surah, Quran said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created the heaven and the earth and has placed created in them. Okay, look to the sentence. His sign is the creation of the heavens and the earth. Heavens in the surah mean sky, or in Malay we call it langit. Okay, and all living being he dispersed throughout both. So it means Allah not only create creature only in the earth, but also create creature in heaven, sky, or another dimension. And it is evidence that show extraterrestrial is real. Okay, that's all from me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hi everyone, my name is Hidayah and I'm going to present about Kepler telescope. So, before we go through more about the Kepler planet, first, let's find out where the name of this Kepler planet comes from. Who was the Kepler named after? Kepler's space mission was named after Johannes Kepler, who was a German astronomer who lived between December 27, 1571 until November 15, 1630. If you wonder why so many exoplanets begin with the name Kepler, then wonder no more. The reason why they are called Kepler followed by a number and a letter occasionally is because they were spotted using the Kepler Space Telescope. NASA's Kepler Space Telescope was an observatory in space dedicated to finding planets outside our solar system, with a particular focus on finding planets that might resemble Earth. NASA had put this telescope into space on March 7, 2009. So, they assumed that the Kepler telescope going to do its mission for 3.5 years, but it's still going strong after nearly 7 years. After 9 years in deep space collecting data that indicate our sky to be filled with billions of hidden planets, with more planets even the stars, on October 30, 2018, NASA's Kepler Space Telescope has run out of fuel needed for further science operations. So, NASA has decided to retire the spacecraft within its current in safe orbit, which away from Earth. Kepler 452b was identified by the Kepler Space Telescope, and its discovery was announced by NASA on July 23, 2015. Situated 1,400 light-years away from Earth, Kepler 452b, also known as Earth 2.0, orbits a sun-like star named Kepler 452. Kepler 452b is one of the most potential exoplanet candidates capable of supporting life. In fact, scientists have already started scanning radio transmission that coming from this planet. It is 5 times heavier than Earth and orbits around its parent star in the habitable zone, and it will be very huge in size. The planet takes about 385 days to orbit its star, which is very close to the time taken by Earth to complete one revolution around the Sun. And for radius, this planet has a radius 50% bigger than Earth. Since this planet receives 10% more sunlight from its parent star than Earth, so it is a bit warmer. Lastly, traveling to Kepler 452b using present technology is impossible, because it will take almost 26 million years for Earth to get there at the speed of New Horizons spacecraft.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Aini Zaida, and today I'm going to explain to you guys about exoplanets. So, what is exoplanets? Simply put, an exoplanet is a planet that orbits another star. All of the planets in our solar system orbit around the sun. Planets that orbit around other stars outside our solar system are called exoplanets. Just because a planet orbits a star like Earth does not mean that it's automatically stable for life. The planet must be within the habitable zone, which is the area around a star in which water has the potential to be liquid, aka not so close that all the water will evaporate, and not too far away where all the water will freeze. Exoplanets are very hard to see directly with telescopes. They are hidden by the bright glare of the stars they orbit. So, astronomers use other ways to detect and study these distant planets by looking at the effects these planets have on the stars they orbit. One way to search for exoplanets is to look for wobbly stars. Wobbly stars, what it is? A star that has planets doesn't orbit perfectly around its center. From far away, this off-center orbit makes the star look like it's wobbling. Hundreds of planets have been discovered using this method. However, only big planets like Jupiter or even larger can be seen this way. Smaller Earth-like planets are much harder to find because they create only small wobbles that are hard to detect. So, in 2009, NASA launched a spacecraft called KEPLER to look for exoplanets. KEPLER looked for planets in a wide range of size and orbits, and these planets orbited around stars that varied in size and temperature. Kepler detected exoplanets using something called the transit method. When a planet passes in front of its star, it's called a transit. As the planet transits in front of the star, it blocks out a little bit of the star's light. That means a star will look a little less bright when the planet is in front of it. Astronomers can observe how the brightness of the star changes during a transit. This can help them figure out the size of the planet. So far, thousands of planets have been discovered by the Kepler mission. As of 1 December 2020, there are 4,379 confirmed exoplanets in 3,237 systems, with 717 systems having more than one planet. Now, I will continue by explaining about Kepler-69c. Kepler-69c has been discovered by NASA's Kepler spacecraft in April 18, 2013. It is located about 2,700 light years. So if we travel to Kepler-69c, it will take around 100,440,000 years. Whoa, that takes such a long time. The radius is like bigger than Earth, which is 10,894 kilometers compared to Earth's only 6,371 kilometers. Researchers say the planet had many similarities to Earth and that it is orbiting a star much like our own sun. This planet received 10% more sunlight from its parent star than Earth. NASA, for example, noted that Kepler-69c's orbit of 242 days is close to what Venus has in our own solar system. So Kepler-69c actually is too hot for living things to live in there, since the temperature itself 275 degrees Celsius.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Hazra binti Muhammad Nur, and we're moving on to the next issues of astronomy, which is lunar water. So for the history researchers of lunar water, NASA's Stratospheric Observatory for Infrared Astronomy, which is SOFIA, results built on years of previous research examining the presence of water on the moon. When the Apollo astronauts first returned from the moon in 1969, it was thought to be completely dry. Orbital and impact missions over the past 20 years, such as NASA's Lunar Crater Observation and Sensing Satellite, confirmed ice in permanently shaded craters around the moon's poles. Meanwhile, several spacecraft including Cassini mission and Deep Impact Comet mission, as well as the Indian Space Research Organization's Chandrayaan-1 mission and NASA's ground-based infrared telescope facility looked broadly across the lunar surface and found evidence of hydration in sunnier regions. Yet, those missions were unable to definitely distinguish the form in which it was present, either H2O or OH. The scientists already knew that there's water on the moon. In the past decade, spacecraft missions have detected evidence of frozen water at the moon's poles and water-like molecules clinging to minerals on its surface. Like Earth, the moon likely acquired most of its water early on. by way of rocky asteroids bearing frozen water. The impact scattered ice across the lunar surface, and some particles drifted across the regolith and settled in perpetually dark spots such as craters and even a boulder shadow. Away from the shadows, a chemical reaction between lunar soil and sunlight produces hydroxyl, a close relative of the water molecule. While research 11 years ago indicated that water was relatively widespread in small amounts on the moon. As for the present research, water is a precious resource in deep space and a key ingredient of life, and a relatively plentiful lunar presence could prove important to future astronaut and robotic missions seeking to extract and utilize water for purposes such as a drinking supply or a fuel ingredient. Whether the water source found is easily accessible for use as a resource remains to be determined. Under NASA's Artemis program, the agency is eager to learn all it can about the presence of water on the moon, in advance of sending the first woman and the next man to the lunar surface in 2024 and establishing a sustainable human presence there by the end of the decade. NASA is planning a return of astronauts to the moon. A mission envisions is paving the way for a later journey carrying a crew to Mars. Accessible sources where water can be harvested on the moon would be beneficial to those endeavors. Sophia's follow-up flights will look for water in additional sunlit locations and during different lunar phases to learn more about how the water is produced, stored, and moved across the moon. The data will add to the work of future moon missions such as NASA's Volatiles Investigating Polar Exploration Rover, which is Viper, to create the first water resource maps of the moon for future human space exploration.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Madam Shahmi binti Shukri and I will present about current issues of lunar water. In 26 October 2020, NASA has confirmed their discovery of the presence of water on the moon. This lunar water was found by NASA's Stratospheric Observatory for Infrared Astronomy, SOFIA, in the moon's southern hemisphere. Before this, they detected some form of hydrogen, but they were unable to distinguish them between water and hydroxyl. The water is found in Clavius crater, one of the largest craters that is visible from the Earth. The amount of water found on the moon was equivalent to a 12-ounce bottle of water. It was trapped in a cubic meter of soil and spread across the lunar surface. So, what's in the lunar water? Lunar water probably mates with lunar regolith. Lunar regolith is a region of loose and consolidated rock and dust that sits atop of bedrock. It may also contain remnants from the bombardment of tiny meteorites and clumps of material formed when those meteorites melt down. Water present in larger craters may also be exposed to basaltic materials. Lastly, the benefits of lunar water. Water is a crucial thing for astronomers, so lunar water can help the astronomers to sustain their life. Next, NASA can also establish their base on the moon as they already found the resources on moon, and for cheaper cost of rocket fuel. It would be much cheaper to make rocket fuel on the moon rather than sending it from Earth. The image on this slide shows the infrared form of water found on the moon. That's all from me. Thank you for your attention.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nur Syazwani binti Muhammad Zali. Okay, now we move to the next issue that we will peel off in this topic. Meteor shower. What is a meteor shower? Meteor shower is a celestial event in which a number of meteors are observed to radiate or originate from one point in the night sky called radiant. These meteors are caused by a stream of cosmic debris called meteoroids entering Earth's atmosphere at extremely high speed on parallel trajectories. The Meteor Data Center of the IAU lists over 900 suspect meteor showers, of which about 100 are well established. Okay, next, the characteristic of meteor shower. Usually, meteor shower looks like small pieces of rock and debris that have entered the Earth's atmosphere. The size of meteor shower is a pea or smaller and completely burn up before reaching the surface. But
Sometimes the larger meteors strike the surface and it called as meteorites. Okay, here are some types of meteor shower. Firstly, Orionids. The Orionids are a medium-strength shower that sometimes reach the high-strength activity. In a normal year, the Orionids produce 10 to 20 shower members at maximum. Secondly, Leonids. The Leonids are often bright meteors with a high percentage of persistent trains. Thirdly, Geminids. The Geminids are usually the strongest meteor shower of the year. It's often bright and intensely colored. These meteors are also seen in the southern hemisphere, but only during the middle of the night and at a reduced rate. Fourthly, Quadrantids. The Quadrantids have the potential to be the strongest shower of the year, but usually fall short. These meteors usually lack persistent rains but often produce bright fireballs. Okay, the fifth one is Lyrids. The Lyrids are a medium-strength shower that usually produce good rates for 3 night center on the maximum. This meteor also usually lack persistent rain but can produce fireball. It also can be seen from the northern hemisphere where the radiant is high in the sky at dawn. 6. Eta Aquariids. The Eta Aquariids are a strong shower when viewed from the southern tropics. From the equator northwards, they usually only produce medium rates of 10 to 30 per hour just before dawn. These are swift meteors that produce a high percentage of persistent rains but few fireball. 7. Delta Aquariids. The Delta Aquariids are another strong shower basing from the southern tropics. North of the equator, the radiant is located lower in the southern sky and therefore rates are less than seen from further south. This meteor produce good rates for a week centered on the night of maximum. These are usually faint meteors that lack both persistent train and fireballs. And then the last one, Perseids. The Perseids are the most popular meteor shower as they peak on warm August night as seen from northern hemisphere. They are called Perseids since the radiant, which is the area of the sky where the meteors seems to originate, is located near the prominent constellation of Perseus, the hero when at maximum activity. Okay, next we move to the another slides. Tools for viewing the meteor shower. Actually, meteor shower can be seen with the naked eyes, so every one of you doesn't have to use a telescope because the telescope field of view is very narrow and the meteor's orbit itself is unpredictable for its direction and time. So every one of you just have to watch it with the naked eyes without any tools.
The process of meteor showers. Meteor rain occurs when the Earth passes through the debris from the comet. As we all know, the Earth undergoes a movement or activity around the Sun, which this movement is also called the Earth's revolution. In the movement around the Sun, the Earth has a strip called orbit. At one point, the Earth in its orbit passed through the remnants of a comet that has been destroyed, and from here the process of meteor rain can occur. In fact, the core of the comet is dust particles and solid dirt, so that when the Sun passes, it will become hot and eventually will be destroyed and produce a tail. This tail is what makes the comet look long from Earth. The debris from the comet's core that crumble across the Earth's orbit would look like rain. This is the peak of the meteor shower that occurs. The way how to see meteor shower. The best way to see a meteor shower is to get to a location that has a clear view of the entire night sky. Ideally, that would be somewhere with dark skies, away from city lights and traffic. To maximize your chance of catching the show, Look for a spot that offers a wide or unobstructed view. First is avoid moonlight. According to the NASA, meteor showers can be seen more clearly without moonlight because the presence of that light can cause blur vision. Second, know the direction of meteor movement. NASA advice is that every meteor shower will move in one direction and that direction is against the position of the constellation. Third, do not use telescope and binoculars. The equipment will only reduce the landscape of visibility. Fourth, choose the best time, around 12 midnight and without the presence of the moon to avoid the bright moonlight. Is there a chance of a meteor from a meteor shower or storm reaching the ground as a meteorite? And is it dangerous to observe meteor storm? The meteorites which make up a meteor shower or storm are very fragile in nature and are composed of a somewhat fluffy composite of material from which all volatile material has escaped. Due to many tips near the sun, this material readily vaporizes in the upper atmosphere and is given the descriptive name of friable material. While quite spectacular to watch, a meteor storm represents no real danger to the viewer, who is protected by mass of atmosphere. Effect if meteor shower falls to the ground. The more energy is released, the more damage is likely to occur on the ground due to the environmental effect triggered by the impact. Such effects can be shockwave, heat radiation, the formation of craters with associated earthquakes, and tsunamis if water bodies are hit. The fall of meteorites to the Earth's surface is part of the continuing process of accretion of the Earth from the dust and rock of space. When the rock fragments come close enough to the Earth to be attracted by its gravity, they may fall to the Earth to become part of it. As we will see, the evolution of life on the Earth has likely been affected by collision with this space object, and collision could affect the Earth in the future.